So we are smack dab in the middle of paragraph 2, and we're going to read up to paragraph 4. Okay, so we are in the sentence that starts with, but I could get nothing into perspective. Okay, so I'm going to give you like 2 seconds to go ahead and in paragraph 2 find that sentence that starts with, but I could get nothing into perspective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. But I could get nothing into perspective. I was young and ill-educated, and I had to think out my problems in utter silence that is imposed on every Englishman in the East. I did not even know that the British Empire is dying, but still less did I know that it is a great deal better than the younger empires that are going to supplant it. Okay, this word supplant, if you click on it, it says to replace one thing with another. So it means replace. So next time you're talking to someone, use the word supplant instead of replace. See how smart you sound. All I knew was that I was stuck between my hatred of the empire and I served my rage against the evil-spirited little beasts who tried to make my job impossible. So he's talking about the Burmese here. I thought you were on their side, though, but now you're calling them evil-spirited little beasts. Maybe because they're treating him so bad. With one part of my mind, I thought of the British Raj as an unbreakable tyranny. And let's scroll over that one, and it says rule. So Raj means rule, a ruler. As an unbreakable tyranny, as something clamped down, an insecula seclorum. And let's scroll over that number 2. And secula seclorum means forever and ever. It seems like that is Latin or something like that. Upon the will of prostrate peoples, with another part, I thought that the greatest joy in the world would be to drive a bayonet into a Buddhist priest's guts. Wow. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Feelings like these are normal byproducts of imperialism. Ask any Anglo-Indian official if you catch him off duty. So he's saying all these feelings of violence and wanting to kill people and just this frustration, these are all byproducts of imperialism. And imperialism is when one country takes over another. And he's saying, ask anybody that is here as an official, they will tell you if they're off duty. So remember, he hates his job, low key. So paragraph 3. One day, something happened which in a roundabout way was enlightening. It was a tiny incident in itself, but it gave me a better glimpse than I had before of the real nature of imperialism, the real motives for which despotic governments act. Early one morning, the sub-inspector at a police station, the other end of town, rang me up on the phone and said that an elephant was ravaging the bazaar. Would I please come and do something about it? I did not know what I could do, but I wanted to see what was happening, and I got onto a pony and started out. I took my rifle, an old .44 Winchester, and much too small to kill an elephant, but I thought the noise might be useful in terrorem. And put your mouse over that number 3 and click, and we see that I was right, it was Latin. In terrorem means for terror. So his aim is really he doesn't want to kill any elephants, okay? He just wants to shoot into the sky and scare the crap out of him. Various Burmans stopped me on the way and told me about the elephant's doings. I was not, of course, a wild elephant. Or it was not, of course, a wild elephant, but a tame one, which had gone must. And must, if you click the number 4 next to that word, means crazy or a dangerous, frenzied state. It had been chained up, as tame elephants always are when their attack of must is due. But on the previous night, it had broken its chain and escaped. Its mahout, let's go over that 5, mahout, not mahout, elephant, keeper, and rider. Okay, so its keeper, the only person who could manage it when it was in that state, had set out in pursuit, but had taken the wrong direction and was now 12 hours' journey away. And in the morning, the elephant had suddenly reappeared in town. The Burmese population had no weapons and were quite helpless. Why don't we highlight that right there? They had no weapons and were quite helpless. And yet there's all of these British soldiers everywhere with tons of guns. Why? It had already destroyed somebody's bamboo hut, killed a cow, and raided some fruit stalls and devoured the stock. Also, it had met the municipal rubbish van, and when the driver jumped out and took off to his heels, had turned the van over and inflicted violences upon it. So this elephant is going wild, and it is just breaking apart everything. Fun. Okay. The Burmese sub-inspector had some Indian constables were waiting for me in the quarter where the elephant had been seen. It was a very poor quarter, a labyrinth of squalid bamboo huts, thatched with palm leaf, winding all over a steep hillside. I remember that it was a cloudy, stuffy morning at the beginning of the rains. We began questioning people as to where the elephant had gone, and as usual, failed to get any definite information. So let's highlight that because it really shows us how the Burmese people feel about these soldiers, right? They won't give them any definite information. They're not going to snitch. That is invariably the case in the East. A story always sounds clear enough at a distance, but the nearer you get to the scene of events, the vaguer it becomes. Some of the people said that the elephant had gone in one direction. Some said that he had gone in another. Some professed not even to have heard of any elephant. There's no way they couldn't have heard of any elephant because it destroyed the village, right? But they're just messing with him. The Burmese are just having a field day messing with this guy. I had almost made up my mind that the whole story was a pack of lies when we heard yells a long distance away. There was a loud, scandalized cry of, "Go away, child, away this instant," and an old woman with a switch in her hand came around the corner of a hut, violently shooing away a crowd of naked children. Some more women followed, clicking their tongues and exclaiming. Evidently, there was something that the children ought not to have seen. I rounded the hut and saw a man's dead body sprawling in the mud, okay? He was an Indian, a black Dravidian, and let's click on that word with the number 6 there. Dravidian, I pronounced that correctly, belonging to a group of people inhabiting southern India. So he's a southern Indian man. Coolie, and then let's go ahead and scroll over that number 7, a laborer. So this is an offensive term that is no longer used. Whoops, we just used it. Almost naked, and he could have been dead many minutes. The people said that the elephant had come suddenly upon him around the corner of the hut and caught him with its trunk and put its foot on his back and ground him into the earth. This was the rainy season, and the ground was soft, but his face had scored a trench foot deep and a couple of yards long. So the elephant literally stepped on him and just pushed his face into the mud, and he died. He was lying on his belly with arms crucified and head sharply twisted to one side. His face was coated with mud, the eyes wide open, the teeth bared and grinning with an expression of unendurable agony. Whew, that's heavy, right? Never tell me, by the way, that the dead look peaceful. Most of the corpses I've seen look devilish. Ooh, let's underline that. I like that line. I really like that line. Never tell me, by the way, that the dead look peaceful. Most of the corpses I have seen looked devilish. So when people say like, oh, that dead person looks so peaceful, he's saying, that's not true. They look terrifying, actually. The friction of the great beast's foot had stripped the skin from its back as neatly as one skins a rabbit. As soon as I saw the dead man, I sent an orderly to a friend's house nearby to borrow an elephant rifle. I had already sent back the pony, not wanting it to go mad with fright and throw me if it smelled the elephant. Whew. Let's see what happens. So now you're going to read paragraphs 5 and 6 on your own, highlighting, underline, and circling the same way that I did. Okay,